spread a little aloha around the world. At breakfast with Bob.
Hey, thank you, Pocket Man. Welcome back to Breakfast with Bob, our not quite Kona edition. My name is Bob Babbitt, and we're brought to you by Master Spas, Hoka Fly, Human Fly, Deborah Wetsuits, Quintana Roo, and of course, our Challenged Athletes Foundation. Our first 32 years of CAF, we've now raised $191 million, sent out over 52,000 grants to challenge athletes in all 50 states, 73 countries, and for equipment, training, and coaching in 105 different sports. At the Paralympics this past September in Paris, 225 members of Team USA, 127 are CAF grantees. So very, very exciting. Our next guest, someone I have not met before, but I'm very excited to chat with him, Mr. Nelson Thomas, who's a star on MTV, and we love that on the show Challenge. So, Nelson, how you doing?
I'm doing great, brother. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on this show. Thank you for having me.
Hey, so tell me, Nelson, growing up, where'd you grow up and what were your sports?
Man, I grew up in LA, Inglewood, back in 2000, man. Went to 4 different high schools. I was a troubled kid growing up with one mother in poverty. You know, I didn't start playing sports until maybe my sophomore year. Track, baseball, and football were my sports. And the reason I played is just because my friends played. I was good, but I never had that dream to go to, be a pro athlete. I didn't know what I wanted to do with life, but I moved around a lot, ended up in Killeen, Texas, then Abilene, Texas, and then graduated from Texas State University and been in Austin. Now I'm in Dallas, Texas.
So what's you come on at that point. Now were you thinking television? Were you thinking movies at that point, or there's something that just fell in your lap?
It's crazy, man. One of my friends asked me, "Hey, Nelson, what are you doing today?" He said, "You want to go get a free lunch?" I was like, "Free lunch?" I was like, "Yeah." And I was broke back then. So he said, "You want to be an extra on a TV show?" I was like, "What? Food ain't good to be on a TV show?" And I said what the show was. It was Friday Night Lights, the TV show with Michael B. Jordan. That was my first experience with TV, and I fell in love with it. So after that, I started chasing the dream of being an actor, started taking acting classes, and got with a manager.
Very cool. And how did the show Challenge come into your life?
Man, this is crazy. I just graduated from Texas State University. I was working at the club as a door guy. I did an internship in LA at RCA Records because I graduated with a communications degree. But I realized I didn't like music. I was a people person. I like making people smile, laugh. I was outgoing. So my agent calls me and says, "Hey, you want to do this dating show?" I said, "Dating show? Yeah, Jerry Springer." I was like, "Hold up. I ain't got no baby mama or no kids. Let's talk about this." But he hosted a show called Baggage on the Road on a game network. Next thing you know, it was like 20 guys and one girl. I ended up winning that show. MTV saw me, got on Are You the One season 3, ended up winning that show. I didn't find love, found love in all the wrong places, I might say. But and then I had a bad temper. I was outspoken, and MTV saw that and they asked me to come to the challenge. I had no idea what the challenge was. I didn't watch reality TV. I didn't like watching reality TV. To me, it was just drama and trash TV. But then when I got on the show and I found out you can compete on the show, I fell in love. I ended up winning my first elimination, and from there, it just took off. Ended up doing 8 seasons. I got second place in Thailand, lost by 2 minutes by this guy named CT, which is a star on the show.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I've been chasing being a challenge champion.
That is so cool. And look at you've built your following. What last time I checked, you're over 350,000 followers on Instagram, something like that.
Man. Yeah, 366 to be exact.
Yes, that's growth, man.
Yes,
You're doing great, great stuff. And so at that point, and then we're leading into March 5th, 2023, when the accident happens. At that point, and I was reading where you felt like, you know what, I'm just I can do whatever I want. I'm sort of blessed here. I can do whatever I want. And then, I'm untouchable. I'm the man. And my social media is going crazy. Everybody loves me. And then everything changed in a second. Talk a little bit about what happened on March 5th.
Well, a lot of people didn't know this. I finally broke down on March 5th of this year and let people know what I was going through mentally. A friend of mine had committed suicide in front of me. To make a long story short, she jumped off a third building garage and I tried to catch her and I couldn't catch her on time and she fell right in front of me and I waited 45 minutes for the ambulance to arrive. And with that being said, I never seek therapy. With all that, I just buried it and kept it going. One thing about me and where I grew up from, we're not vulnerable.
Share feelings.
Yeah, you don't show feelings, you don't show tears, you just keep it going. So I was going through a lot in my head. I was getting ready for another TV show, and they didn't know. Nobody really knew about it but my best friend, my mom, and my close family. So I was dealing with that internally. And what I would do is I would just go out, drink, have fun, and just try to, cover everything. And March 5th of 2023, March 3rd, if you want to go back a day before that, I hosted a fitness show. And I was telling everyone I was a personal trainer. I was telling everyone about health and fitness and everything. And I was getting ready for my next show, which everyone knew I was going to win that next show. I was in the best shape possible. I've learned so much. I grew so much from that show, but everyone saw the outside. Nobody knew what was going on inside of me, but I would just keep it going and keep a mask on. Well, March 5th, I woke up that Sunday. A friend had called me and said, "Hey, man, you want to go watch football and go out?" And I said, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it." And I'm trying to get a hold of him. I ended up not getting a hold of him. I fell asleep on the couch. It's about like 8, 9 o'clock. My phone's blowing up. And they said, "Man, come out, come out. We want to see you before you leave for your next show."
Right.
So I ended up going out. In my city of Austin, Texas, I was basically a star. I didn't wait in lines. People wanted to give me drinks. They wanted to be around me. They wanted to take pictures. Everywhere I went, I just felt like I was a star. And people would ask me questions, this and that. And I wasn't there, but I was there, if that makes sense, So I ended up drinking and it sucks to talk about this, but, a lot of friends that were around me knew the girl that passed away in front of my eyes and memories were popping up and I started just drinking a lot more and I don't know what I was still doing out because I had a girlfriend at the time that was back at home and I looked around me and said, "You know what, Nelson, it's time to leave. It's time to go." But before I left, friends was like, "Don't leave, don't leave. Just take another shot, take another shot." I was like, "All right, whatever. Let's do it. Let's do it." But then I got to a point where it's like, you know what? I don't want to be here no more. So I got into my car. I said bye to everyone, took a few pictures thinking I was all good. And I'm on a highway and I'm 2 exits away from my apartment. Next thing you know, I wake up, flames are in front of me. My car is on fire. I'm like, what's going on right now? And in my mind, I thought I was in hell. I literally asked myself, it's like, God, what did I do to deserve this? Next thing I'm hearing voices saying, "Get out the car, get out the car." And they're so distinct because they were from Nigeria. So I wake up, I look around, my car is pinned against the wall because I ran into a pillar and the wall's right there. So I can't get out my driver's side. The only way I can get out is through the passenger side.
Right.
And they're trying to open the door and they're having trouble opening the door. Well, they finally opened the door and I tried to pull myself out, but I couldn't pull myself out. I was stuck. I'm like, what's going on? My foot was stuck. So I get myself back into the driver's seat and I just yanked my foot as hard as possible. And I dragged myself up and I'm looking up at the sky and I'm just begging God, please, I don't want to die today. I don't want to die today. And
the car's on fire.
Your car is on fire.
In flames.
On flames. I have a full video. I can send it to you. It's on my social media, but somebody was filming the entire thing of me trying to get out the car while the car was on fire. Next thing you know, I wake up in the hospital. I'm looking around and the doctor says, "Hey, calm down. You're going to be okay."
Yeah.
And I said, "What's going on? You got into a terrible car accident." I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Hold on. Did I hurt anybody else?" He said, "No, it was only just you." Tears started falling down my eyes. I was like, thank God. And I thought I was going to be okay. Hey, we said, we stitch up your foot. It's in pretty bad shape. We called your friends, your emergency contacts,
Right.
and everything's going to be okay. So I was like, okay. Next thing you know, I'm in the hospital for about a week. I'm having chest pains. I can't breathe. Um, my ankle's hurting a lot more. They check my vitals. They think it's all in my head. They say it's probably from the impact from the car.
Mm.
And I was like, I cannot breathe. Something's not right with me. And they finally gave me some kind of medicine, which I've had so much medication, I couldn't tell you what. They ended up sending me home. They said, hey, just relax, let your foot heal. About 2 weeks gone by, the girl that I was seeing, she comes into the room one day and she says, Nelson, your ankle doesn't look right. I said, what do you mean? The metal is showing. Like it's like
Oh
pushing.
my God. It was sticking through the skin?
Yes, my body was rejecting the metal. I had I had 32 screws and two plates in my ankle, and it was rejecting it. Luckily, she came in. She was an angel. If she wouldn't have came in, it would have got worse. I had to rush to the hospital that night. They end up having surgery, taking that out and doing it all over again, and saying, Nelson, it's bad. It's really, really bad. And the doctor said, you got a couple of options. And one of the things he said was amputation. I was like, what?
You didn't want to hear the A word.
No,
Yeah.
no. My mom was there. I said, Mom, if I have to have an amputation, I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to be here. She started crying. She says,
Yeah.
Babacito, don't say that. It's going to be okay. And the doctor also said, look, man, we're going to give it a couple of weeks to heal to see if it takes the metal, see if your bone heals. Or if not, you're going to have a TTC fusion, an ankle fusion, or amputation. So I was like, okay. So I waited about a few months. I started going to rehab. I was walking, I was stretching, I was
Oh,
doing
wow.
good. Yeah, everything was going good. I'm like, this is 3, 4 months in. I'm like, all right, I'm about to make a comeback. And I remember, every night before bed, I was stuck in my house between these four walls, and I was going kind of crazy. I was taking all this medication. I was questioning everything that I did, and next thing you know, everything that happened bad in my life that I thought I buried was coming up because I didn't deal with it.
Well, because you had so much time on your hands now, rather than going from one thing to another, just filling your days with stuff. Now, all of a sudden, you sort of had to reflect on your whole life because you couldn't do
Yeah,
anything.
it was the worst, man. And I learned a lot, man. I learned that if you don't deal with your problems right then and there, it's gonna come back 10 times worse. I
That's
couldn't sleep. I
right.
was having dreams.
The worst. Not
Girl
sleeping. Oh,
of this girl's in my head, just blood everywhere. I would wake up with sweats. I would wake up crying, and just so much was going on in my head. And I finally opened up to my mom. I opened up to my best friend, and I got on my knees and just started praying. I started going to Bible study. I started going to church. My friends would come pick me up because I couldn't drive. I couldn't walk. So my friend would come pick me up every day. And I started leaning into my faith a lot more.
yeah.
At that point, I'm thinking, Nelson, you're going to walk, you're going to run, you're going to jump again. I'm going to rehab one day and something doesn't feel right. My ankle's in really, really bad pain. And the doc said, oh, no, don't worry about it. The nerves are just coming back. That's probably what it is. I was like,
The
oh,
pain.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, then another week passed by and this pain's getting excruciatingly worse. And I'm like, okay, it's time to go get x-rays and go see my doctor. And I'm by myself right now. And I call my girlfriend. I say, hey, can you take me to the doctor? My mom left, my friends left. I'm okay. I'm like
Sure.
walking. I'm able to move around a little bit. She takes me to the doctor. I'm sitting in this doctor's office. I get the x-rays and the MRI. I'm in this room by myself for about an hour. I'm like, what's going on? What's the holdup? And the doc comes in. He looks at me. He said, Nelson, brace yourself. This is the same doctor that I wouldn't let him say the words amputation.
Right.
He said, it's bad. It's really, really bad, Nelson. Like a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 10. The metal broke. The entire time I was in rehab, all that pressure was on the screws and plates. So
Right.
it finally gave out. And I was thinking I was healing the entire time. So he said, look, we can have an ankle fusion, we can have a TTC fusion. But I'm going to be honest with you, Nelson. I've seen your social media. I know your background and I know what you're trying to achieve. You're not going to be able to run and jump with if you have these surgeries. It's
Yeah.
not going to just be one surgery. It's going to be quite a few surgeries. And a doctor can't tell you what you want to hear. He's just gonna he's gonna tell you what the best
What you
options
need
are.
to hear.
Yeah. So at that point, I didn't know what to do. I started crying. I was like, what am I gonna do with my life? This is all I've known. This is my identity, and I felt like it was taken away from me. I
You're a
don't
physical
know.
guy. You're a
Yeah.
physical guy, and that was who you are. And all of a sudden, you feel like I'm not that guy anymore. Who am I?
Who am I? I didn't know myself. I would look at myself in the mirror. I was like, God, why'd you save me? Why'd you give me this second chance if I can't do what I love to do?
Yeah,
And I kept thinking to myself, I was like, he blessed me with this opportunity to go to 9 different countries to compete around the world. And I dropped the ball. This was all on me. I
yeah,
can't
right.
blame nobody but myself. So one day I woke up, this Bible verse, John 15. You might not know it now, but later on you will understand. It always stuck with me. And I started doing my due diligence. And then that's when Paralympics were going on. And I turned on my TV. I was like, I'm looking at these guys running. I'm
Yeah,
looking at guys jumping. I'm like, whoa, is this a sign? Is this a sign from God? Like, it's not over for me. I
yeah.
have a bigger purpose.
Yes, you
So
do.
then on, I started doing my due diligence. I started talking to amputees,
Yeah.
and they say the biggest thing they regret, guess what was?
Not doing it earlier.
Wow. Yes.
Because the deal is, I was in the cold plunge last night, and there's a guy there who's an amputee. He was in a motorcycle accident in Mexico, and because they didn't really talk much about amputation for 25 years, he had a non-functioning leg that he was dragging around. And when he came to the States, the doctor's like, "You need to get rid of that." And then he got a walking leg, and then he came by and visited CAF, and now he's getting a running leg. But I mean, that's the type of thing that the pain you were in, as soon as the amputation happens, it's gone, right? You're like all of a sudden, everything that you thought was going to be awful by having a prosthetic leg, it's basically better. You're,
Let me tell you something, Bob. That foot was gone in the car.
yeah.
The devil took that foot. It was already gone. God saved me. He saved me and pulled me out that car. But that foot was gone a long time ago. And I had to come to realization that on my
Sure.
own. Not your mother, not your best friend, not your girlfriend can tell you what to do because you don't want to have no resentment saying you told me to do this and now I'm doing it and I'm looking back. You have to come to realizations that is this what you want? And I prayed about it. I prayed and prayed, and I finally said, you know what? Let's do it. I called my mom. I said, Mom, I'm cutting my foot off. And what's crazy is that March 5th was around the corner. So March 5th of 2023, I got my car accident. March 5th of 2024, I cut my foot off.
Exactly 1 year.
1 year. So I gave myself 1 year, and I think you have to give yourself time. You have to get that time within that 1 year. It was a healing process. It was with
Absolutely.
me dealing with everything that was going on inside of me, and
Yep.
it was coming up, and I was finally okay with myself. I was applying. This is Nelson Thomas. I didn't make a mistake that night. I made a bad choice, and I owned it. But I also dealt with everything else that I was going through. And I finally accepted the man I saw in the mirror. And not only that, after I cut my foot off, when I woke up from the hospital, I couldn't believe it. It was scary. I remember the night I was going in there. This is the first time I've cried in years. My mom had never seen me cry ever. She
Yeah.
said, Nelson, like, are you ready to do this? And I was scared, Bob. I remember walking that night, my friends, my family was around me. I said, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can walk into a hospital telling a doctor to cut my foot off after 35 years of having a foot. What
Yeah.
is life going to be after that?
Well, and so did you have 10 surgeries,
I had
stem cell treatment, 8 surgeries,
8 surgeries, and I went all the way to Mexico for stem
stem
cell.
cell. Yeah. Yeah. But the deal is because you did that, you were ready, right? You did everything and it wasn't getting better and it wasn't going to get better. So once you realize now when you look at it and someone says, okay, here's your option. You're going to have this, your foot's going to be there, but you're not going to be able to do anything with it. Or we'll give you a high-tech prosthetic and you'll be able to go to the Paralympics. And it's not like that tough a decision when when you look at it later, right? But at
Um,
the time, somebody saying that we're going to amputate a body part off of you, there's nothing scarier than that.
yeah, it was the most scariest feeling because not only that, Bob, I grew up in the film industry, the TV industry. You know, my appearance, my physical is all I've known. So taking a part of me was like, who am I going to be after that? Am I going
Yeah.
to be the same athlete? Am I going to be the same Nelson Thomas? And no, I wasn't. I wasn't going to evolve. And that's what God was getting me ready for, to ready to shed all that dead weight off and to become the man he wants me to be, to become a shuttle for him, a light for him, to show
Right.
him Nelson. Regardless if you have make a bad choice, do not let my choices dictate the man you want to be. So
For what I was going to ask is, so now you got to see the Paralympics on TV, and you know that LA, where you're from, is coming up in a couple of years.
yes,
So what sport? What are you thinking? Is it track and field? What are you thinking?
it's track and field, Bob. And this is why I think this is destiny. He already written it. How crazy it is that the Paralympics is in LA,
I
which is
know.
where I'm from. So I get to go back home and compete. And not only that, it's not about competing, it's about inspiring the next generation and these kids and letting them know there is light at the end of the tunnel. But
Exactly.
nobody's going to tell you how long that tunnel is, Bob. There's going to be a little light shining. You might smile, you might laugh, but at the end of the day, you got to close that door and it's going to be you versus you, nobody else.
What I love if for what we get to do, like I said, it's been 32 years and we've raised 191 million and we're in the process of sending out about $6 million in grants right now. What I love is we come in a lot of times at somebody's lowest moment of somebody's life. We come in at that point of trauma and we get to see the upward trajectory of where they're going to go. And for you, that upward trajectory includes getting a OSSUR Cheetah Xpanse prosthetic so that you get
Let's go! Let's go! I'm so excited. Let's go! Woo, man. You
it's
know,
this OSSUR is the best prosthetic company on the planet, and their Cheetah Expanse will get you to where you need to go. And at some point, obviously, you need to come out here, train the Chula Vista Training Center to see meet Derek Loxodent, to meet a lot of these other Paralympic athletes, to see where you're at right now and what you need to do to get to that next level.
yes, I agree 100%. Bob, it's crazy because, throughout this whole time, I've been able to share my journey with other people. I have so many DMs. I have so many emails from kids, from moms, from dads, from grandfathers, and saying, "You've inspired me. You've picked me up. You've took me out of darkness because you're sharing your journey, not only the ups but the downs."
Right.
And I tell everyone, there's a lot of downs, people. There's it's not always up and smiling, and you got to realize the sun's not going to be shining all the time, but when it does, it shines bright. And throughout this time, the amputee world has accepted me for who I am as a
Mhm.
person, not the Nelson Thomas from MTV or Nelson Thomas from Instagram, but who me, Nelson. And I get to look in the mirror and see that identity, that who I am. And I get to take that back. And that's what I've learned throughout this process of becoming an amputee. It's not about being on TV. It's not about the followers. It's not about the likes. It's about how can you help the next person inspire the next generation. That's what makes me feel so amazing, so loved. The reason why I want to go to the Paralympics, I want to go gold, but I want to show other people, regardless of the decisions you make, you can make it out the mud and become the person you want to be. And that what makes me smile. So that's why live to inspire. That is my quote.
So I know that obviously when you have as many followers as you have, and people, oh, you're great, you're great, you're great, you're great. After you're in this one car accident, I mean, luckily nobody else was hurt. You did this to yourself. You've taken full responsibility, but there's haters.
Yeah.
Oh, you should have died. I can't believe you're an awful human being. It sort of can make you look at those are sort of faceless people out there who are just sitting in their basement and at a keyboard saying negative things. It makes you realize you can't live your life for those people. You've got to live your life for you and for the people you inspire and motivate to be great.
And I agree with you because there was a time in a moment where I would read all these comments saying, Nelson, you should have died in that car accident. You should kill yourself. And my mom had to rip my phone out of my hands because you have so much time and all you're doing is scrolling in bed and reading comments. And I was like, Mom, do I deserve to be here? Why did God save me? Like, why is people being so rude to me? People love you when you're in the spotlight, but when
Yes.
you're down and out,
Pile on.
it hurts, man. And I didn't expect that from people. I've never had that kind of hatred in my entire life. And you question, like, do I deserve to be here? Because there's a lot of people that have been hurt. And I understand that pain. And my heart goes out to them. That's why when I respond, I respond to those messages and comments, and I'll say, you know what? God loves you and I love you. And I understand that you're going through a lot, and I hope you get to find peace within your pain. And I hate that I brought that up, but I'm here. And this is who I am. I can't change the past, but what I can do is show you that I will be a better man and a better person.
Sometimes sometimes people don't understand that you've had a bad moment in your life, but that bad moment can lead to greatness. I mean, you wouldn't have thought at the age of 35, hey, I'm going to train for the LA Olympics. Right? You're not going to be an Olympic athlete. You are, but now, not to say you're going to get there, but that's a possibility. You
I
can do
will.
something. You can
I
become
will.
a Paralympic athlete, and we've seen it so many times where people have a trauma and they never thought of themselves an athlete. Next thing you know, they're going to Paralympic Games in a sport that they've never played before. So it's one door closes, another one opens up, and I just love the journey that you're on. And, for us at CAF, being able to present you with that OSSUR Cheetah Xpanse, this is like the Ferrari. You're getting the Ferrari of prosthetics that you're going to be able to take this thing and take it to reach whatever goal that you want. And being part of our class, our grant class of 2025 is really special to all of us.
It is special. It's special to me. It's special to my fans, my followers, and everyone out there because, like, I set a goal for myself, and I'm destined for this. It's already written. It's not will, almost. No, I will be at the Paralympics. I will compete, and I will go gold. That's all my mindset is. I train every day. I read. I watch YouTube all the time. I watch these athletes. I said, what can I get? I just got off the phone with a coach, Coach Mack. And
Yeah, Coach Mack at the training center out here.
I said, Coach Matt, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I don't have that TV money. I don't have the finance to do everything, to move everything, but I'm willing to do anything I need to do. If I could work out there, get a job at the facility, if I got to be a janitor, if I got to pick up after people, towels, what can I do to be a part around you to train to be the best I can be? I don't have no kids. I don't have nothing's out here in Dallas for me. I came here for rehab, but now I need to take this to the next level. And he said, man, look, Nelson, we want to work with you. We want to work with you. How can we help you? If it's not that facility, it's another facility.
Sure.
I don't care. There's got as many doors that close on my face. I'm going to knock on the next door, and I'm not giving up. I'm not quitting.
What did you learn about yourself through this? You have the worst experience of your life on March 5th, 2023, and now we're a couple years later. What have you taken away from just what was the lowest moment of your life to now you've got a wide open journey to wherever you want to do?
What I've taken from this moment in life, Bob, is that he never gives up on you. I stopped asking why and I started thanking him. I started thanking God and just letting him know that I'm grateful. I'm smiling. I got a roof over my head. I get to see my mother. I get to see my brother, my friends, and that don't take life for granted. Time is an essence, and that's something we can't get back. And I'm going to live every moment to the fullest, and I'm going to do your work. And I hope to inspire the next person.
Love it. Nelson, welcome to the CAF family. It's such a Nelson Thomas is receiving a OSSUR Cheetah Xpanse as part of our class of 2025. Nelson, we love having you part of the family. I can't wait to see where you take this. This is you have such a great group of people following you, and you're going to be able to share such a great message with them that people are gonna learn from you. People are going to identify with you, and next thing you know, there's people who've been sitting on a couch for the last number of years and going, "Look what Nelson's doing. What's my excuse? I got to get out there and I've got to change my life for the better as well."
That's what life is all about. It's helping the next person. And I want to be that light. I just want the light's already bright in the amputee world. I
Yeah,
just want to brighten it even brighter.
love it. Nelson Thomas has been our guest again. Breakfast with Bob, our not quite Kona edition. Nelson, what a treat to get to meet you again. Mr. Grantee, OSSUR Cheetah Xpanse. I love that. Thank you, Nelson.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it. That's the best.
God is
That is the
good.
best.